Hello my friends, hello and welcome to another video on this channel, Akasha Love. I'm Akasha Shell, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my name. This is my artist name, my business name, where this came from and how I came up with it and why it is meaningful to me. So if that sounds interesting for you, then stick around and remember to like and subscribe to this channel if you'd like to join me on this journey. I'm restarting the channel after it's been a little bit dormant for the past couple of years. So, Akasha Love, what does this mean? Akash comes from the Sanskrit, which is the language of ancient India, so the language of yoga, kind of like Latin is to Western culture and Western languages. It's the language of education, the language that all of the educated people in the Middle Ages were able to speak and write. So Sanskrit is the equivalent for the Indian subcontinent. It's the language of the wisdom keepers, the language of yoga, the language of all of the sacred Hindu texts, of which there are many and many. So Akash in Sanskrit means space. So space, heaven, ether. And so Akasha Love is making space for love. So just a little bit of the backstory I wanted to give you. This is a little bit story time. When I was 45, so now about 6 years ago, in 2020, at the beginning of COVID, I found myself in Bali. So I literally flew from Australia to Bali on, I think, March the 8th, and that was basically the last day that international flights were arriving in Bali. At that time, I didn't know it. I just finished leading a retreat in Sydney at a friend's yoga retreat. I led an inner freedom meditation retreat, and I went from there to Bali. And I don't think I was planning to stay for the whole year in Bali, but because of everything that happened in 2020, I ended up staying the rest of the year there. So the borders closed and nobody could come in and out, and the retreats that I had planned to offer that year had to be cancelled. So finally, I asked myself, okay, this is a year where I basically can do what I want. My flat here in Australia was rented out, so I had enough money to cover my expenses in Bali. So I was like, okay, what do you truly want? And my heart's desire for my whole life, one of my heart's desires had been to record an album of my own songs. So I was like, okay, now is the time. You have no excuses. You just have to commit to doing this, and you have to do it. So it literally had been on my to-do list for years. I've been a musician all my life. From when I was really young, I was learning piano, classical piano and classical flute from really young age, from about 7. And it was always in the back of my mind that I would do this. I would write my own songs and record my own album. And time just kept passing. I kept doing lots of different things, and I realized that it's not the kind of thing that just happens by chance, right? You have to make that commitment to yourself, and then you have to make the space in your life to do that, and you have to have the equipment. You have to set up your own home recording studio, you have to have a keyboard, you have to have a microphone, you have to have all of that stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make the commitment to myself, I'm gonna do it. And I did that. So 2020 came around, and luckily enough, I had this also an amazing kind of divine intervention or divine help, a synchronicity if you like, that at the same time that I was stranded there in Bali on this remote beach in North Bali, a remote location that not many people go to at the best of times in Bali. It's a very low touristed place, so small village right on the beach, and next door to me was a yoga retreat, and there just happened to be staying there a musician also, and he was also stranded for about 6 months, an Australian musician who was already quite well known in the music circles at that time. And so it was really serendipitous that he was there next door, and he was holding music sharing circles every Tuesday and Thursday. So circles where we would sit at sunset and sing songs together. So I was able to work on my songs, write them, record them, and then take them over next door to this musician to listen to, so that I could share that with him and with a few other people that would come to these sessions. So that was an awesome opportunity. So it was during this process that I was meditating one morning, as I did every day before I got to the work of the songwriting and production. And I had this download, divine download of this name, Akasha Love, space for love. And for some reason, I don't know why, but it just seemed like I needed this to produce and to publish the songs in this name rather than my birth name, which is Michelle. And I think it's because it's sort of like a guidance for me, a guidance for the way forward in life, a reminder, if you like, to always be making space for love within myself and hopefully within you and within anybody that I meet. That's kind of my life mission. So that's how this name came about. But I just wanted to add on something else that's really important to me to share. So I've struggled, like many people, like most humans probably, struggled a lot in my life with depression and anxiety. I was severely depressed for about a year when I was 21, after I had a kind of a nervous breakdown. So I've had on and off struggles with depression really all my life. And this guidance of the name of Akasha Love just helped me to understand that I am an embodiment of love, as is every human being, and I am loved by the universe and by the divine. And whenever I am feeling out of sorts, misaligned, depressed, anxious, that means I have deviated from my natural state, which I do believe is the natural state of all beings. It's to be in a state of love and harmony with oneself. So this was guidance for me to always come back to love, come back to love, come back to love, make this a practice in my life. And I can just share quickly here now, EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, I found to be a really powerful tool to help me come back to love right in a moment. So if you haven't heard of this, it's otherwise known as tapping, emotional freedom technique, or tapping. So you literally tap on some part of your body, like your wrist. You can tap anywhere, but you tap on sort of a nerve point somewhere in your body, and you speak some words. So even though I'm feeling really anxious and depressed right now, I totally and completely love and support myself. Even though I'm in a state of anxiety or depression right now, I completely and totally love and support myself. Love, support, and accept myself. So that's just a quick little example of tapping, so a way to kind of bring yourself back to love. But in the years since that I downloaded this guidance for myself, Akasha Love, I've come to some other really important realizations. And that is that love is not enough, right? We need to, in order to be healthy as humans, and to have healthy relationships in particular, we need more than love. So we need boundaries, yeah? We need healthy boundaries, we need a healthy sense of self-worth, and we need to be wise, right? So we need to recognize when people or relationships are good for us and when they are not. So love is not enough. We need more. And I just wanted to share a little bit of my backstory as to why I think I've been a kind of a people pleaser, I think, most of my life, but hopefully now I am out of that phase, or at least walking out of that phase. So when I was young in school, both in primary school and in high school, I was bullied multiple times by my friends, my female friends. And when it happened in primary school, it was so distressing for me, and I was so unable to work out a way out of that situation. You know, I was very young. I was sort of less than 10 years old. It sort of started when I was maybe 7. My group of friends chose different people to victimize and to bully, and I was one of them. And I decided at that stage to move primary schools because I didn't know how else to handle that. So I moved primary schools, and I went to a new primary school when I was in grade 5 and 6. And there I had a really good friend. She was like my best friend. We were fellow nerds. We were very studious. We both played and studied music. And I found a really great friend and a really safe person in her. But then sadly, when I went to high school, she went to the same high school as me, but she ended up being in a different class. In this high school, it was an academically ranked. We had about 7 different class levels according to academic ability. And there was, right up the top, there was this kind of genius class where everybody would take an exam before starting the high school to see if they could access this star super smart kids class. And so I took this exam, and so did she, and she got into the super smart class and I didn't. So I was in sort of the second one and she was in the top. And so because we then ended up to be in totally separate classes for all of our subjects, and we lost contact a bit. And it ended up that I got bullied again in high school, and particularly, and again it was my friends, my female friends, and particularly around year 9. And I remember some very traumatic experiences to this day. They're not traumatic now, but I have a strong memory of literally hiding in the corridors of my school during the recess breaks. I was so terrified of these girls and how nasty they had become, and I was so ill-equipped to deal with it. I had no idea why they were doing this, and I had no fight in me to fight back. My inclination was just to run and hide. And so this is also a part of this dance between, I think all of life is always a dance between fear and love. It's expansion and going out into the world and sharing and retreating. So contraction, expansion, contraction, love, fear. And so my automatic response to being bullied again was contraction, hiding. And I used to hide in the corridors of the school at recess. And then at lunchtime, I would go into the school library because that was open and that was a safe place where there were adults, where there were teachers who, you know, we could be supported by and talk to if we needed. But in the recess, I was literally often hiding in the corridor by myself. And yeah, this is a very, very traumatic thing to go through. And I think it has colored my whole experience of life. And it contributed to me becoming a bit of a people pleaser and always kind to people no matter how they treated me, right? Including my friends. Because these bullies were my so-called friends as well. So I've had to really fight to overcome the people pleaser part of me and to really recognize when people are treating me badly and not to accept that, to do something about it, right? To either speak up for myself, or if it's a friend situation and it's an ongoing situation where that friend is getting some kind of a boost or a hit to their own self-esteem by putting me down in some way, by dissing me, disrespecting me in some way, telling me that whatever I'm doing is not really that great, or I'm not really that great, or whatever. I now have a really good radar to recognize that and draw the line, create a boundary, right? And without that kind of an inner radar, and without being able to really clearly recognize and identify when people are behaving in a really detrimental way for you, you can so easily get into abusive situations, whether they're abusive friendships or abusive relationships or work situations, because you're just too afraid to kind of stand up for yourself. So that's a lot to take into for one day, and I think it's probably enough, but it's just very relevant to this channel because a lot of what I wish to share with people on this YouTube channel is tools and techniques for becoming a strong person, and particularly for people who identify as highly sensitive people, artistic, creative people. It's really important to develop these tools and techniques to learn how to stand up for yourself, learn how to recognize who is healthy for you, who is not, learn how to cut cords when people are really clearly not healthy for you, learn how to step out of situations that you may have got stuck in, which are dragging you down. So this is the part of the honoring the self and loving the self enough to make these clear and strong boundaries. And so rather than what I did in high school, not knowing any other way, not having any idea of how better to deal with that situation, I just retreated into myself and retreated into this really lonely place and this really lonely space, all alone. Instead of that, when faced with these kind of difficult people or difficult situations, now I'm able to stand up and draw a boundary, draw a line, and also stand up for myself and say, hey, that was out of line. I'm not okay with that, right? So rather than retreating, I'm able to hold my space, stand my ground, and ask to be respected in the way that I deserve to be respected. So I've developed those tools that I did not have when I was 14 or 15 and being bullied by these girls. So instead of retreats, we stand our ground, we continue to be open, and we state clearly what we won't tolerate and what the conditions are for staying in our life, right? So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. That's a big part of what this channel is about, helping highly sensitive people to grow clear and strong boundaries, recognize situations which are unhealthy and dangerous for them, and step out of them, step out of abusive friendships, abusive relationships, and step always into a place of self-honor and self-love and self-respect, knowing that you deserve the same good treatment that you give out to others. But that's, it can be quite a journey, especially if you've been a people pleaser, and especially a traumatized people pleaser like I was all my life, I think, until I recognized that I really had to change, and I really had to move out of that always using that softness or kindness to try and navigate myself out of sticky situations. It doesn't work. You need some other tools as well. All right, so if that's been helpful and interesting for you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to leave a comment. Tell me how your experience has been. Have you been bullied in the past, in your childhood, at work, or in your family, or any situation in your life? How have you managed that, the after effects of the bullying, and how have you integrated and processed that moving forward? I'd love to hear from you. Okay, thank you again so much for being here. Thank you for listening. If you've listened all this way, thank you for your support. I really do need your support to keep sharing and growing this channel, which I do intend to do. I do intend to start creating more regular videos, possibly weekly, but I need your collaboration and support so we can grow the channel together. So thanks again, and I will see you next time. Sending out lots of love. Forgot to mention also, I have just started also a Patreon membership where for a monthly fee, I want to build a community of connected women. Particularly, I want to focus on women, creative, highly sensitive women who are on this journey of realizing your dreams, whatever they might be, whether you have dreams to publish an album, become a painter, develop your business, whatever your dreams are. This Patreon membership is a community where I'm going to be supporting you, supporting women, creating regular monthly events, so private events on Zoom, private meetings every month where we will be getting together and sharing supportive information and techniques and solutions for overcoming all the hurdles that you might encounter in your life along the way to realizing some of those deeply held dreams. So I've just released yesterday a video about why I've recently just left Bali and come back here to Melbourne. So all the different reasons why I've done that, and that is a private video only available on the Patreon community, membership community. So if you're interested in that, just check below and you can click over to Patreon, become a member and get instant access to that video, why I left Bali and why I'm back here.